ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Wish you all a very happy, blessed Bahulashtami and the appearance of Radha Kund. Yes. So we will recite Srimad Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. So now we will be reciting only the Sanskrit. I'll keep the synonyms, yeah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. I'm only going to read the verses and the translation, the synonyms will be there in case you want to connect. Next one, Sri Bhagavan, and all of you please recite along with me. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhvamulam Madha Shakham Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid Adhaschordhvam Prasritastasya Shakha Gunapravriddha Vishaya Pravala अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययं तत् न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यद् अवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षुः स्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणम् एव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः यद् आदित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भासयतेऽखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम् गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधी सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविद् एव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्त्यव्यय ईश्वरः यस्मात्क्षरम् अतीतोऽहम् अक्षराद् अपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवमसम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदम् उक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत. So, I'm thinking we can read only translations also, just in case. No? Only translations now. What's going on in this chapter? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment, asanga. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false ego, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Krishna, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. We'll recite Srimad Bhagavatam. We were reciting Srila Vyasadeva's Mangalacarana, first three verses. Okay. Text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratas Chartheshva abhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Text 2. Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Moolanam श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्. So we'll first recite and we can discuss the second verse. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. So the second verse, dharma projjita kaitava atra, where, so first, now we are talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. The first verse was talking about what? About the absolute truth, Param Satyam. And we saw there are 7 lakshanas, 7 characteristics of absolute truth. Janmadhyasya, so he is the cause for the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this material universe. And yatah anvayad itaratascha artheshu abhigyaha, that means he is cognizant both directly and indirectly of this material creation. Swarat, he is independent, supremely independent, because there is no other cause than him. He is the cause of all causes. Fourth, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye, by him the Vedic knowledge was imparted to the heart of Brahmaji, the original person, Adikavi. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye, Muhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejo Varimridam Yatha. That means by him even great personalities, advanced personalities like demigods and sages are put into illusion. The way we experience illusion, how do we experience illusion in this world? We see fire on water, or we see water on fire and land on water. Like that, the demigods are also put into illusion. Demigods means the great Suris, right? Demigods and great sages, they are, by him they are put into illusion. That's fifth one. Then what is the sixth quality? Yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha. By his illusory energy, the activities, the various things in this world, which are nothing but the combination of these 3 modes. Everything in this world, the phenomena, the activities, which is simply the combination of the 3 modes, but still it appears to be real to us. So by his illusory energy, even this material world appears to be real. So that is the 6th characteristic of the absolute truth. And the 7th one is dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. He is always residing in his dhamma, which is free from this illusory energy, from ignorance, from darkness, like this. So this first verse was actually glorifying the absolute truth. Satyam param dhimahi. I meditate on that param satyam. Param satyam means absolute truth. Now the second verse is also, so the first was, sambandha, abhideya and prayojana. These are the 3 subjects in a shastra. So the first verse is establishing the sambandha. Who is this absolute truth, right? And what is our relationship with him? So that is first one. Then the second one is about Srimad Bhagavatam. This is talking about abhideya. So what should be the activity in that relationship? What should be our activity in relation to that absolute truth, abhideya? And this second verse is the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. First one was talking about absolute truth, second one is about Bhagavatam. So this one, dharma projjita kaitava atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam Srimad Bhagavate mahamunikrite kimva parairishwaraha sadyo hridyavaruddhyatetra kritibi shushrushabis tatskshanat. So now about Srimad Bhagavatam, what are the qualities? Dharma projjita kaitava atra. Atra means this Srimad Bhagavatam. In this Srimad Bhagavatam, kaitava dharma. Kaitava means cheating. Kaitava dharma projita. Projita means you throw out, right? Like you sweep the house, collect all the dust and you throw it out. Like that, all types of cheating religions are collected and thrown out of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will not find anything which is cheating. What is cheating? All types, karma kanda and these things, right? They're all simply cheating religions where you practice religion for the sake of some material result, right? Or even simply practicing religion for the sake of getting some siddhis or for liberation also, actually, right? To get liberation, no. Bhagavatam only, so first point is dharma projita kaitavatra. All kaitava dharmas are removed. Then paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Okay, then what is given? This is removed, dharma projita kaitava atra paramaha. So it gives you that supreme dharma, right? It removes all the cheating religions and it gives you the highest religion. What is that highest religion? We'll find out. Then who will understand? Nirmatsaranam satam. So matsara means what? Envious. Envy. Nirmatsarana means those who are not envious. And satam means who are they? Except for devotees, nobody is free from envy, actually, because everyone has some motivation behind what they do. So nirmatsaranam satam means the devotees. Who will, this Bhagavatam is meant for whom? It is meant for the devotees who are free from envy, who are 100% pure in heart. That is why Sukadeva Goswami, who was already liberated, by hearing the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, he got attracted and he went back and he heard the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. That means Bhagavatam is meant for the liberated personalities. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. So, nirmatsaranam satam. Who understands the Srimad Bhagavatam? Vedyam means knowing, understanding. The nirmatsaranam satam, devotees will understand. Now, what is this highest truth? We said Bhagavatam is removing, is all cheating religions are kicked out of Bhagavatam. It establishes the highest dharma, highest religion, which is understood by people who are not envious, who are pure hearted. What is this highest religion? Vastavam atra vastu. So, Vastavam means that which is real. Okay? That reality is separated from illusion. Vastavam atra vastu. That means the reality is established by showing you the difference between that which is illusory and that which is real. And the reality becomes established. Okay? Vastavam atra vastu. Shivadam. Shivadam means it is all auspicious. This Bhagavatam is all auspicious. Tapatraya unmoolanam. It uproots all your tapatraya. Tapatraya means 3 types of miseries. Right? Traya means 3. Tapa. What are the 3 types of tapa? You have Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika miseries. So the threefold material miseries are uprooted by taking shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite. And this Srimad Bhagavatam is the work of Mahamuni. Who is that Mahamuni? Vyasadeva. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite. Kim va parairishvaraha. So, when you have Srimad Bhagavatam, Kim va parair, not Ishvara, Kim va parair. Kim, what else do you need? If you have Srimad Bhagavatam, what else do you need? Others. Parai means, Parai also here is in Hindi, right? Parai means outside. If you have Srimad Bhagavatam, what else do you need? This Srimad Bhagavatam, which is given by Mahamuni in his maturity. You know how Srimad Bhagavatam came? Vyasadeva already gave the four Vedas, then he gave the Puranas, Itihasas, then he gave Itihasas means Mahabharata he gave, then he gave the Vedanta Sutras, and still he was not satisfied. Narad Muni came and instructed him. Then Vyasadeva meditated and upon the Supreme Lord, and in his meditation he was able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his illusory energy behind him, and then he has given this Srimad Bhagavatam. So in his maturity, this is the last work of Vyasadeva, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? There was no need to give anything else. This is the ultimate. So this, if you have this Srimad Bhagavatam, what else do you need? Kimva parai. By serving this Srimad Bhagavatam, Ishvaraha sadhyo hridyavaruddhyate. That means, sadhyaha means immediately. Hridi means in the heart. Avaruddhyate, he becomes established. If you serve Srimad Bhagavatam, if you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, if you worship Srimad Bhagavatam, take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Supreme Lord immediately becomes established in your heart. Atra kritibi shushrushabis tatkshanat. So who is kritibi? Kritibi means, Kritibi means pious people, right? Those who are sinless people. As soon as they hear this Srimad Bhagavatam, Shushrushabi. Shushrushabi means by that culture of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then at that very instance, right, the Supreme Lord becomes established in the heart without delay, like that. At that very instant means very, very soon the Supreme Lord becomes established. So what do you understand from this verse? This verse is a glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, and these are the characteristic features. Okay? Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va parair Ishvaraha Kim va parair Ishvaraha Sadhyo Hridyava Ruddhyatetra Kritibihi Shushrushabis Tatskshanat. So, when the pious people, the sinless people, when they hear this Srimad Bhagavatam, then very soon the Supreme Lord becomes established in their heart. So how many qualities are there? All cheating religions are removed. Highest religion is established. Only those who are not envious will understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is understandable by those who are not envious. And in this, what is that highest religion which is established here? In which reality is distinguished from illusion. And it is all auspicious. It removes, uproots the threefold miseries of material existence. And when you have this Srimad, when you hear this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the composition of Srila Vyasadeva in his maturity, you don't need any other scripture, any other book. By serving the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes established in the heart of who? Of those people who are pious and who give oral reception to the Srimad Bhagavatam. then tat kshanat, very soon, without delay, the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes, the Supreme Lord becomes established in their heart. So this is the second verse. The third verse discussion we will see tomorrow. Now let's read our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, Text 26. So, what did we see? You remember what we discussed yesterday?
Yeah, it was like how tolerant or how great Vyasadeva and Devi were because they forgave Kamsa, even though he first of all he killed off their children, and after that he says that it's not his fault. So and they forgave him after that. So
yeah. So Rasapriya is saying yesterday we read how tolerant Vasudeva and Devaki were, that even though Kamsa killed all their children, and then he spoke the philosophy saying that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul, the soul cannot be killed, and everyone gets the reaction of their own work. One who knows that he is not the body, who is the soul, and that he cannot be killed or he cannot be the killer, such a person is not responsible for, even if he kills, the reaction doesn't come to him. So I understand this, right? That's what Kamsa's intention was. And then, of course, he also said one more thing. Yes, so I won't get the reaction because I understand that I'm not this body, right? That the soul cannot be killed. But then he's begging for forgiveness, saying that, but when I did it, yes, I understand this, but nevertheless, I committed this heinous act of killing your children. So, my only way of, what do you say, relief, or the only way that I can be relieved is by your mercy, by your forgiveness. So he literally fell on their feet and he started crying and begging for forgiveness. So Vasudeva and Devaki also felt that they gave up. Whatever anger they may have had, Devaki's anger subsided, Vasudeva's anger also went away, and they began to speak. What they spoke, we will see, but this is what happened. They forgave. So, in that, we just discussed how when philosophy is spoken, because even before he begged for forgiveness, when he said all these things, they accepted, yes, what Kamsa is saying is true. This knowledge, whatever Kamsa is saying, this is Bhagavad Gita, it is true. So they gave up that, they didn't hold anything against him. Why should we hold Kamsa as being responsible for killing our children? Besides that, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also said, when the Akashvani said that the 8th child is going to kill, that means things have to lead to that situation for the 8th child to come. So all this is part of the plan. The 8th child is the Supreme Lord, and they also got darshan of the Supreme Lord. Krishna appeared in his four-handed form. So, and now he is also there in Yashoda's house. So all this is happening according to his plan. Kamsa is after all an instrument. So why should we hold anything against him? Besides that, he's regretting, he's repenting, he's crying. So they just forgave him. They just forgave him and they began to speak. So very good. That's where we stopped yesterday. So we'll just continue from there now. Text 26. Acha, I want to ask you one thing. Would you all of you prefer to take turns reading, or do you just want me to read? I'm fine either way. Whichever is more effective for all of you. Any opinion or any preference? If you have no preference, I'll just read. If you would like to read, tell me, then I'll call on you.
We'll read, Mataji.
You'll read. Okay. All right. So first one. एवमेतन्महाभागा यथा वदसि देहिनाम् अज्ञानप्रभवाहं धीः स्वपरेति भिदायतः. Yes. So, I don't know if Chinmayi Keshvi Mataji is able to read or not. You can read, Mataji? Mataji is not
Yes,
feeling it.
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. I will read.
Okay.
Translation. O great personality, Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life, lacking self-realization, differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Purport. Narsimha Praladeshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Everything is done automatically by the laws of nature, which work under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no question of doing anything independently for one who has put himself in the material atmosphere is fully under the control of nature's law. Our main business, therefore, should be to get out of this conditioned life and again become situated in spiritual existence. Only due to ignorance does a person think, I am a demigod, I am a human being, I am a dog, I am a cat, or when the ignorance is still further advanced, I am God. Unless one is fully self-realized, one's life of ignorance will continue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay. Now Vasudeva and Devaki are speaking to Kamsa. O great personality Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. So they are also, they are the parents of the Supreme Lord. Don't they know the philosophy? So completely, you're right. Right? It's only because of ignorance. Only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life, lacking self realization, differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another. Okay? That's kamsa, yeah. Like someone who's thinking this is mine and this belongs to other means that person is in bodily concept of life. That isn't it? So when you are in bodily concept of life, I am this body, things related to this body are mine. So only when one is in bodily concept of life, naturally, if you are in bodily concept means you don't have self-realization. You're not self-realized. You cannot have both. He lacks self-realization. One who has bodily conception means he lacks self-realization. And such a person will think that this is mine, and when this is mine, then that which is not mine is others. So this is mine and that is others. You're right. This philosophy is correct. Devaki and Vasudeva are saying to Kamsa. Everything is done automatically by the laws of nature, which work under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no question of doing anything independently, for one who has put himself in this material atmosphere is fully under the control of nature's law. There is really actually no free will in the conditioned state. When you are in the conditioned state, there is no free will because we are completely under the control of the material nature. The living entity is different from this body. This body has two parts. There's a gross body and subtle body. The gross body, that means flesh, skin, bones, right? All blood, muscles, everything, a brain and your organs. What this body? This body, gross body, is made up of the five gross elements. Five gross elements. And then you have a subtle body. Subtle body has mind, intelligence, ego, chittam, and the senses. I told you, senses are these minute, small senses, subtle senses, which are in the subtle body. And through those senses, right, your hand is moving. Like there's a subtle sense hand in your subtle body. And when that moves, or because of that, now this hand is moving. But even that is not able to, because what is that sense? That is jada, it's not conscious. Your mind, intelligence, your senses, they're not conscious, they are made of prakriti. And you are different from this body. You are not moving it, you are not controlling this body. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Prakrite kriyamanani. Prakriti is doing the kriya, activity. Gunai karmani sarvashaha. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Prakriti, consisting of the three modes, is doing all activities in this material creation. Every activity is being done by Prakriti. Then the next question is, what is this Prakriti, you may ask. You remember again how this creation starts. When the Lord glances on Prakriti and how all these elements are formed, and for using these elements, the Virat Purusha appears, right? And the Virat Purusha is nothing but the soul is Lord Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, but the body is nothing but these material elements of Virat Purusha, subtle and gross. Brahmaji takes these elements, material elements, and then he assigns, right? He gives for this living entity, because of his karma, this much, for this living entity, this much. That means you get your gross and subtle bodies, which are nothing but products of Prakriti. And then also, what are these products? They are simply coming from these three modes. It is these three modes only: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When you say Mahat, Mahat is primarily in goodness. When you say Ahankara, it is in ignorance primarily. Like that. So all these elements are nothing but the modes. And with those, our body is formed. And so many activities are performed with this mind, with this intelligence, with the senses. And also there's one more. There is the controlling deities, demigods. So there is one controlling deity for each of our senses. And when they are the ones who are actually karta, they are the doers. So when they move the hand, then the hand is moving. And when will they do? That is controlled by our karma. Depending on our karma, they will move, right? A particular hand for so much time. Otherwise, they won't. Karma is also one component of Maya. So Maya, Mahamaya, there is Mahamaya and Yogamaya. Mahamaya has four components. What are the four components of Mahamaya? Avidya, Vidya, Prakriti, and the fourth one is Karma. So the point is, everything that you do is being done by Prakriti. Then what am I doing? What am I doing? I am a spirit soul that is separate from this Prakriti. I'm not part of this Prakriti. When the Lord glanced on Prakriti, I came through that glance of the Lord. I'm a different Shakti of the Lord. Tatastha Shakti. Prakriti is Bahiranga Shakti. So I entered this Prakriti when the Lord glanced, and then eventually I got this body. But the problem is, why I was even sent into Prakriti, I am covered by avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Same thing what Devaki is saying here. I'll show you the verse. Persons in the bodily concept of life lacking self-realization. No, the previous one. O great personality kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance. What is this ignorance? Avidya. Avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Only by the influence of ignorance, because you have avidya, therefore you are sent into Prakriti, and then eventually you get this material body consisting of gross and subtle bodies. So you accept this material body because of avidya. You are covered by avidya. So the problem, the root problem is we are all covered by avidya. Okay, avidya. What is avidya? Avidya means uh, Vaimukhyam, right? Means turning away from the supreme absolute truth. Turning away from the supreme absolute truth. So if the absolute truth is like sun and you're turned away, what will happen? You will see only darkness. That is the position of a living entity covered by avidya. You are turned away from the Supreme Lord. That is the conditioned soul. Conditioned soul means living entity that's covered by avidya. He is turned away from the absolute truth. And because of that, he is in darkness. He is in darkness, so he is not able to see anything. Then he gets these bodies, subtle and gross bodies. So the subtle body has one component called ahankara. Ahankara means false ego. Because of this ahankara, after you get the body, you claim that you are that body, and the activities of that body are actually your activities. Okay? Actually, it is not you, but you are claiming that you are doing. So, I think we discussed it many times, but this is such a, we have to repeat it again and again so that it will sink into our consciousness. So, I will tell you the mechanism, how it happens. If you are looking at, let's say you are eating gulab jamun, okay? And then when you eat gulab jamun, what do you think? Oh, it's very tasty, it's very soft, it's very juicy, I like it, isn't it? I want more. Now, what is the actual mechanism that is happening when you eat? This is one activity. All activities are in the same way. What is this gulab jamun? What is it made up of? First of all, if you break it down, what is gulab jamun made up of? Sweet means sugar, ghee, okay, maybe maida, milk powder, okay. So this gulab jamun, so all these, if you go further, it is earth, water, fire, air, ether. So the 5 gross elements. But you are getting some taste from that. What is that taste? It's the sense object, right? What is the sense object for the tongue? Taste. And tastes are of different types. You have sweet taste, salty, sour, so many different. These are all sense objects. Pancha tanmatras: sound, form, taste, smell, and sound, form, taste, smell, and touch. These are the 5 sense objects. And each one of them has many varieties also. So now if you're eating gulab jamun, what are the different sense objects involved there? It has a color, it's brown in color, it is round in shape, that is the form. Okay, then it is soft touch, and then juicy, that can be touch, and also it has sound. When you chew it, there is some sound, right? The juice is coming out, there's some sound from gulab jamun. And what else? It has fragrance, right? You have there, you put some rose essence, so it has fragrance of that gulab jamun smell. There's sweet taste. So all 5 sense objects are there in that. Now this sense object is coming in touch with your senses. Senses means, I told you, the subtle senses are there, and then that is coming out in the gross form as these, just like the extension of your eyes is the glasses. The glasses are not the one seeing, the eyes are seeing. Like that, eyes also are not just this, but there is the subtle eye in your subtle body. So those eyes are grasping the sense object. That means the color of gulab jamun, the form of gulab jamun, it is grasped by the eye. Then the tongue, it comes in touch with gulab jamun, it grasps the taste, the sweet taste. Nose is grasping the fragrance. Then touch, the skin is grasping the softness of gulab jamun. So in this way, each of the senses are coming in touch with the sense object. What is the next thing that happens? These senses, whatever information that they have gotten, means, for example, the tongue is getting the sweet taste. That message is immediately sent to the mind. In this way, all the 5 senses, they send that information, their particular information about this sense object, they send it to the mind. And in the mind, those vrittis are formed about gulab jamun. Vritti means the function of gulab jamun. It is brown, it is round, it is sweet, it is juicy, and all these things, soft. So all these are formed in the mind. Now the mind sends this information. The mind does not understand yet what it is. It is simply taking the information and sending it to the next. Who is next to the mind? Who's after mind? Buddhi, intelligence. So mind sends all this information to the intelligence, next door neighbor. What does intelligence do? Intelligence is the one that decides what it is. Knowledge is produced in intelligence. So after getting all this information about this object that the senses have come in touch with, this intelligence now looks at the database, that is your chittam, where all your past samskaras are stored. You have eaten gulab jamun in the past, and you got some impressions of that gulab jamun. All that is stored in your chittam. What intelligence does is, it will look at what the information that's coming from the mind, and it will compare the information which is already there in chittam, in the form of samskaras or impressions, and comparing the two, it will decide, yes, what the mind has given me is this particular object, it is gulab jamun. And immediately after deciding that what the senses have come in touch with is the gulab jamun, the intelligence will return. I think Subhadra Mataji will understand. This is just like, in you do when there is a project, right? The business analyst, he collects all the information from the company and he gives that information to the uh, what do you call the people in the middle, the people last, huh? Now that is last. Quality assurance is last. The programmer, those who make the program. So they collect the data. So the business analyst collects the data and gives it to the programmer, and the programmer makes a program, and then they run it to the people who will test it, the testing department, right? And they have to run the program and see if there are any problems or errors. If there are some problems, then they send it back to the programmers to fix it. And after it is fixed, again they'll send it to the tester, and finally they'll test it, and when they say yes, everything is okay, then it is given to the client finally. Okay, now you can use it, like that. So something like that is happening here. The mind is collecting the information from the senses, and that information is sent to intelligence. Now it is the intelligence that has to decide what is it that the senses are coming in touch with. For that, the intelligence is comparing with the database which is already there, the samskaras in the chittam, and it will decide this is gulab jamun. And then what it will do? Now it will send it back to the mind. The knowledge is produced in intelligence that this is gulab jamun. What my tongue has just tasted is gulab jamun. So it will give the information to the mind. This is gulab jamun. Then after getting that information, so mind, two ways it's working. First it's receiving, then from the senses, now it's getting the information back from intelligence. So second time, now when it gets the information, now the mind, after knowing that it is gulab jamun, now it is saying that, oh, gulab jamun is very delicious, it's very tasty, I like gulab jamun. Or maybe it can be Karela, and maybe the mind says, when it gets information, Karela is bitter, I don't like Karela, I don't want it. So when the prasadam, when they are serving, if they bring Karela, some people may say, no Prabhu, no Karela for me. Okay, why? Because all that has happened, the mind immediately got, oh, this is Karela, I don't like, I don't want. Or when they are bringing rasmalai, yes, you can give me one more. I like rasmalai. So this mind is the one accepting, rejecting, right? Thinking, feeling, willing, and also accepting, rejecting. This is done by the mind. Okay. Now, when the mind says, I like it, who is saying this? The mind is saying. Because that is the duty of the mind. Accepting, rejecting, desiring, hating, all that is the function of the mind. So far, what did you see? Who is at play here? The senses, the mind, intelligence, chittam, right? Again, mind, isn't it? Where is the living entity? What did the living entity do in all this? Did the living entity, is the spirit soul doing any of this? No. But there's one more person, one more player here, ahankara. Now ahankara comes into play. When the mind says, gulab jamun is tasty, I like gulab jamun. Now this ahankara or false ego says, when the mind says, I like it, the false ego makes the living entity think that he likes this gulab jamun. Actually, the mind is saying, I like it. And why it is saying, I like it? Based on the samskaras in the past. Based on the samskaras in the past, that in the past it was liked, so I like it. Okay? Now this living entity is saying, I like it. I like this gulab jamun. Why he is saying that? Because of this ahankara which is telling him, which is making him think that you are this mind. And also the knowledge that is produced in intelligence that this is gulab jamun. The living entity is thinking, I got this knowledge that this is gulab jamun. I came to know that this is gulab jamun. I understood, right? I am so, it's me. I like it, or I know it, or even I tasted it. I didn't taste it. The senses tasted it. The senses, mind, intelligence, chittam, all this is coming from Prakriti. I am not part of Prakriti. But because of being covered by ignorance, I receive this body, gross and subtle body, and within the subtle body is false ego. By this false ego, I claim that the activities done by the body, mind, and intelligence are actually done by me. I claim. I'm actually not doing any of that, but I'm claiming. This is called abhiniveshaha, or it is called abhimana. Right? It's as if now you're claiming. Claiming means you're entering into that. Right? You're claiming that I am eating it, I am enjoying it, or I am suffering it. But in reality, you're not doing any of this. That's the point. Same thing is explained. We were reciting the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita today. In the 15th chapter also, this is what is being said by the Lord. So the Lord said that there is a tree. And this is a very wonderful tree. You won't find this type of tree anywhere. Why? Because in this world, we will always see the root is down. In the lower part of the tree is the root, upper part of the tree is branches. But this particular tree has its roots in the upper portion, and the leaves and branches are in the lower portion. You will never find a tree. This is a very special tree. And this tree's name is Ashwatha. Ashwatha means banyan tree, right? So this tree's name is Ashwatha. But Ashwatha means the supreme tree, the best of all trees. Ashwatha means, the meaning of Ashwatha means the best of all. Then, what is this tree? It is an analogy. What is this tree? The roots are, so this tree is nothing but this material samsara, material existence. That's why the tree is also called the tree of samsara. What is samsara? Samsara means taking birth and dying, and taking birth and dying again and again and again and again. Birth and death, and in between you have old age, disease, adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidaivika miseries. This is called the tree of samsara, or samsara tree. So this living entity, each of us has this tree, because we have taken birth so many times and we continue taking birth. Okay, so we are in this tree. Each of us has this tree, and also we are in this tree. How? I'll tell you. The roots of this tree are located in Satyaloka, or Lord Brahma's planet, which is the topmost planet of this universe. And its branches are extending in all the planets. Satyaloka, Tapoloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Swargaloka, Bhuvarloka, Bhuloka, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. There are branches of this tree in all the planets, even in Satyaloka. Because you know what these branches are? These branches are actually the bodies, various bodies. The bodies in Satyaloka, and the bodies in Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Swargaloka. That means demigods' bodies, apsaras, kinnaras, human beings, snakes, cow, dog, cat, birds, insects, viruses, rakshasas, nagas, everyone, all different, 8,400,000 species. Bodies are there. These various bodies are the branches of this tree. And these branches are extensively spread out throughout this universe in all the planets from Satyaloka all the way up to Patala Loka. What are these branches? These branches are bodies, various bodies. So the root of this tree is in Satyaloka. From there the tree begins to grow and then it spreads out from Brahmaji's place, Satyaloka. What are the leaves of this tree? The leaves are Vedic mantras, Veda mantras. And what are the fruits of this tree? The fruits are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. How? Dharma, what are the four Purusharthas? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That means when you do Dharma, then you will get Artha, wealth. With that wealth, then you get sense gratification. By spending that money, you get sense gratification. And finally, when you become fed up of sense gratification, when you see the futility in this karma, right? Working for sense gratification, enjoying for some time, and that with that everything is finished. You spend all your pious credits, once again work, like this it goes on. And when you come in the association of a self-realized person, a sadhu, then you will understand that what is the value of this karma, right? Then you give up dharma, artha, kama, and then you will aspire for moksha. So these four things, dharma, artha, kama and moksha, are the fruits. Why they are fruits? Because fruits give you pleasure, right? They give you happiness or distress, either way. So the fruit of happiness is coming from moksha. When you actually perform nishkama karma yoga, you perform work without attachment. By that, when you transcend, when you come out of this bodily concept of life, that gives you then you taste the fruit of happiness, the happiness of the soul you are experiencing. Then you are tasting the fruit of happiness. And if you are performing dharma, dharma means activities prescribed in Vedas for different people. For Brahmanas, what dharma you should do, Kshatriyas, what you should do, Vaishyas, what you should do, women, Grihinis, what they should do. All these dharma, these are dharma. So you carry out your duty according to, that's the important point, according to the Vedas. According to Vedic injunctions, when you carry out your duties, that is called karma or dharma. By doing that, you will get artha. With that artha, you will get kama or sense gratification. So this tree, this whole samsara tree is a means for getting these results. Sadhana means what? Sadhana is a means for getting your desired result. Now you work, you go to office and you work. Why? So that you'll get your salary in the end, at the end of the month. So the result is the salary, and to get the salary, the means is the work that you're putting now. So this samsara tree is the means. It is the sadhana for the result. What is the result you're getting? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So from dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you're getting the fruits of happiness and distress. This can be explained more elaborately, but I don't know. Anyway, one more point is the leaves are called the Vedic mantras, right? Why the leaves are compared to Vedic mantras? The leaves are the ones that prepare food for the plant. All of you know that, right? Photosynthesis. By photosynthesis, the leaves are tapping sunlight, they are taking water that's coming from the roots, and from the air they are taking carbon dioxide, and with nitrogen. Using all this, chlorophyll is formed, and that is preparing the food. Through photosynthesis, food is prepared for the plant, and excess food is stored in the form of fruits. And that fruit is, you can say, the essence of the tree. Why do you plant a mango tree? So that you can get mangoes in the end, right? Summertime you want mangoes. For that, you plant a mango tree, and when the tree grows, finally, the result is that fruit. Also we see about Bhagavatam, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam, right? The ripened fruit of the Vedic tree is Srimad Bhagavatam. So the fruit is the desired result of a tree. And this fruit, where is it coming from? The leaves are preparing the food. The leaves are preparing the food. Similarly, the Vedas are given in the form of mantras. These Vedas are the leaves of this tree. They are the most important part of this samsara tree, because through these Veda mantras, we are able to understand and we are able to follow our particular dharma, and by doing that dharma, we are able to enjoy life. Right? We are able to get the results. We'll get artha and then kama. And then even how to get moksha is also explained in the Veda dharmas. So therefore the life of this tree, right, the main important part of this tree is the leaves. If you cut out all the leaves, what will happen? The tree will dry up and it will eventually not, you have Tulsi Maharani. What will happen if there are no leaves? Right? The leaves are the ones that are preparing food. Soon after that, when there are no leaves, now she's going away. Of course, sometimes, rarely you will see she will come back with one leaf and she can. But leaf is important. Without leaves, there's no growth. That's the point. So, the Veda mantras, the Vedas are the leaves that are nourishing this tree. Okay? And then the result is coming as the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and that is giving us happiness and distress. Why distress? Because karma, the nature of karma is like that. When you work, you have to work so hard, right? Such austerity you have to perform to get that result. And after you get that result, it's there for a short time and it is finished. So is there no distress in karma? There is distress. Okay, so this is the leaves. Then I said the branches are the the branches are the bodies, various bodies. There's one more here. There are roots up in Satyaloka and branches all over. The branches that are in the earth, Bhumi, this earth is called Karma Bhumi. So on these earthly planets, when you get a human body, what happens is you perform karma. No one else does karma. Do animals do karma? No. They are only reaping the results of karma. Do demigods get karma? They are also reaping the results of karma. Karma is performed only in human body. And then whatever karma you have accumulated, you have to get the reaction or result of that karma, either by going to heaven or by going to hell, taking punishment. In all other bodies, you are getting the results. Whereas in human body, you are accruing, you are accumulating karma, and this karma will produce new bodies for you. Either bodies in heavenly planet or bodies in lower planets or in animal forms. Of course, if you do sinful activity, first you are sent to hell. There also you get a body. Yatana Sharir. Right? Yatana Sharir means you get a body which is suitable to be punished in hell. That is also one body. And after that, sufficiently when your sinful sins have been, you've been punished, still there will be some sin remaining, then you are sent into animal bodies on this earthly planet once again. So what do we learn? That on the earthly planet, in human body, you are producing new bodies. The spirit soul is creating new bodies. That means, what are in this body? Human body means, we said, branches. So the branches that are on this earth, the human body branches, they produce what you call prop roots. In banyan tree, you have big branches, and from there new roots are coming that are hanging down. And these roots go down and they enter into the earth one more time. And when they enter into the earth, they shoot out new shoots, and they grow, and they become big branches, and from there again new roots are coming that go down, prop roots. They go down. And in this way, this banyan tree sometimes can be spreading, one banyan tree can be spreading throughout an entire forest. It is so extensive. And when you see this banyan tree, if you have been to Mayapur, and from there if you have been to Paramatala in Navadvip, you will see there's a huge banyan tree. In the trunk of that tree is a temple of goddess Kali. But that tree is so extensive, the branches are so extensive, there's a whole marketplace. I mean, it's shaded, the whole place, the whole market is shaded by one banyan tree. How old that tree must be. So, the banyan tree is very extensive. And with these new roots coming down, you can't tell which is a branch and which is a root. That's what Krishna says in the 15th chapter. Nobody knows where is the beginning of this tree, where is the end of this tree. And what is the living entity doing? Just like a monkey, right? This tree also has many monkeys. In Paramatala you will see many monkeys. So they go from one branch to another branch. They are jumping. And what do monkeys eat? They eat fruits, right? They go from one branch, they eat some fruits. Then they jump to another branch and they eat some fruits. Like that, the living entity is sometimes in this body, right? Like human body, and tastes the pleasures that are coming from this human body. Then he will jump to another body, maybe a pig's body or a dog's body, right? And then take the pleasure. Like for example, Srila Prabhupada says, you are in human body, but you're not satisfied with one wife, right? Then you want extra, you have extramarital affairs. Then in your next life, you will take birth as a monkey, because one monkey, male monkey, has 12 female companions, right? Because you have that type of desire, that type of taste. So then you jump to another branch. What is that another branch? It's a monkey's body. And now you start enjoying the fruit of that branch, fruits on that branch, the taste. Or you can take birth as a pigeon. So many times in a day, the pigeon has sex, Srila Prabhupada says. That's why. So that's one example. Or you like to sleep all day long. Then you can take birth as a bear. Then you'll get the pleasure of that sleeping all day. Like that. Or someone is very fond of eating flesh. Then you take birth as a tiger or something. Then you can eat fresh meat and blood all the time. In this way, jumping from one branch to another branch, one body to another body, and tasting the different fruits, since beginningless, there is no beginning. Since when the living entity is doing this, and it will go on also. It will go on like this for Ananta Kala. There is no end. It will just keep on going on. Ananta, why? Unless, actually there is a point here. Newton's second law, Mataji. Newton's second law says that unless there is an application of external force, an object that is in motion will continue in inertia. Inertia of motion and inertia of rest. Inertia of motion means something which is moving at a steady speed, not accelerating. Acceleration happens when you put some When you want to speed up the car, what do? You have to push the accelerator, isn't it? When you set it in cruise, right, it's just going at the same speed continuously. When you put an external force, you put a brake, then you come out of that cruise. Or you want to speed up, you push the accelerator, then you change. Otherwise, there's no change. Continuously, you'll be moving. It can go on eternally. That's called inertia of motion. And inertia of rest means, let's say there is a bottle on the table, it will stay there forever unless there is an external force. Something from outside that bottle moves it. Somebody moves it, or there's an earthquake or something, right? And then it falls. Otherwise, it will just stay there forever. That's inertia of rest and inertia of motion. So these jivatmas jumping from one body to another, they are in the inertia of motion. What is that motion? Jump from one body to another body, one body to another body, take another body, live in that body, you die, and then take another body. This will go on and on and on until and unless there is force from the external source. What is that force? When you come in the association of a sadhu, a self-realized soul, then only that person, because what did I tell you? Vaimukya means you have turned away from the absolute truth. So when that, by coming in contact with that sadhu, by that sadhu's instructions, by the mercy of that sadhu, now you will turn towards the absolute truth. And that is when you can stop moving from one branch to another branch. Otherwise, this will go on forever. That is the condition of this living entity. And this living entity actually is not doing anything. Even that eating of fruit he is not doing. That's the sad part. At least if he's eating and enjoying, we can say, okay, he's eating. But he's not. Spirit soul is pure. You have heard this, right? Spirit soul is Satchidananda. It is not. It cannot eat, anything, or it cannot. Because this is matter. Like oil and water, they never mix. Even if you put oil and water, it will float separately. It will not become one. Like milk and water, you mix, it will become one. But oil and water will not become one. So spirit soul is a different thing. And matter, Prakriti, is completely different. And all this is being done by matter. But the spirit soul is thinking, I am doing, I am enjoying. And because of that illusion, I am doing and I am enjoying, he suffers. He thinks he's eating, actually he's not even eating. And then unnecessarily, without even eating, he's getting a pain. At least you have eaten something and then you're getting a stomach pain, you can understand. You're not eaten, still you're suffering the pain. What is this? Isn't it? Why is this happening? Because of ahankara. Because of ahankara that gives you this abhimana that I am this body. This abhimana is coming from ahankara. Ahankara is coming because I have avidya. Avidya means I have turned away from the Supreme Lord. So the root problem is avidya, or turning away from the Supreme Lord. When we once again turn towards the Supreme Lord, then we can come out of this ahankara, this abhimana that I am this body. Otherwise there's no way. And turning towards the Supreme Lord, I cannot do on my own. Inertia of rest will continue forever. I will just keep taking one body after another. The only way that my avidya can be removed is when I get the mercy of a pure devotee. So that we all got, there's no doubt about that. That's why we are sitting here and hearing Bhagavad Gita. So we got that mercy. But we have to take it to the next step also. Simply that initial mercy is, now I can start contemplating, right? I can start acting on it. But the game is not over yet. Now there are a lot of questions in my heart. Because see, for so many lifetimes I've been jumping on so many branches, or I have taken so many bodies. So many impressions of all these bodies are there in my chitta, in my samskara. What about all past lives? In this life also, whatever I have studied in schools and colleges about so many things, you may have atheistic ideas, or how, you may say that the sun is further away than moon, right? And the scriptures say no, moon is a heavenly planet, it is further away from sun, I cannot accept this because we have satellites and all that. You may think like that, isn't it? So all these impressions are there based on what you have studied, what impressions you have collected. Now those have to be cleared. But your the door is open now for you. Now you have to move forward. So what we have to do now is clear all these doubts that are in our hearts, so that we can get full faith in bhakti, in the Supreme Lord. This is for the devotees. Of course, this tree was explained for the sake of the Gyanis. The last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is talking about the Gyanis. But I'm just telling you, because we are running out of time, I'm just telling you what is relevant to us as devotees. The fact is still the same. That tree is, we are, because it is for karmis. The tree is described for what is the situation of karmi or vikarmi. That is the situation. Now the next step is how to come out of this. What did Krishna say? You cannot find out if you are thinking, now let me research and study this tree. That's another foolishness actually, right? What is the measurement? How many miles does this tree extend? And how many leaves does it have? What are the different types? No need. Try to understand that there is no limit to this tree. Krishna himself said, nobody can tell where is the beginning, where is the end. When did I start my creation? When did I actually fall down? When did I come to this material existence? No need. You cannot find out where it begins, where it ends. But Krishna is saying, he's not going into the details. He's only saying there's no beginning, no end. It's very extensive. How many lifetimes you have taken, how many bodies. And sometimes people also ask, can you tell me who I was in my past birth? Can you tell me who I will be in my future birth? So on and so forth. The thing is, you are in this tree, and this tree is simply giving you miseries, and it is forcing you to take birth again and again in this world. So Krishna is saying, with the weapon of asanga. Asanga means what? Means detachment. With the weapon of asanga, you cut this strong tree. This tree is very, very strong, very thick. You have to cut it with the sword of asanga or detachment. So how you will be detached? Because I told you this is the Jnana Marga. So in Jnana Marga, how they'll get detachment? First they do Nishkama Karma Yoga, and then they practice Jnana Sadhanas. What are the various Jnana Sadhanas they practice? Amanitvam, Adambhitvam, Mahimsa, Kshantir, Arjavam, Acharyopasanam. 20 different steps are given. So they practice those Jnana Sadhanas. By that, they develop their detachment. Of course, they have left, physically they have left already. But whatever lust, anger, greed that is there, the subtle attachment which is there in the heart, that will also be removed by these Jnana Sadhanas. Because when you do Jnana Sadhanas, your goodness, Sattva Guna increases in you, and by that you can overcome all these attachments further. So Krishna is saying you can cut this tree by this weapon of detachment. And then, is that all? Simply detachment is finished? No. Then you have to go and take shelter of that Supreme Person who is the ultimate cause from whom this tree has come also. So this tree is what? Nothing but Prakriti. Everything is coming from the Lord. Karanadakshay Vishnu glancing on Prakriti. Remember. So you have to go and take shelter of that Supreme Lord. Only when you take shelter of that Supreme Lord, you can go to that destination from which one never comes back. Now that destination for Jnanis is what? Merging into Brahman. That destination for Ashtanga Yogis is going to Paramatma, merging into Paramatma, or they can even go to Vaikuntha to get Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, liberation. And the destination for devotees is Krishna. They'll go to Golok Vrindavan Dham. Whether you're Ashtanga Yogi, whether you're a Jnani or you're a Bhakta, for you to get that final destination, You have to surrender to the Supreme Lord. When you surrender to the Supreme Lord, varies. If you are a devotee, you have to surrender at the very beginning. Get full faith, Sharanagati, surrender to the Lord. My Lord, from now onwards, uh, not from now onwards, at least from now onwards, right? Until now, I didn't know, in ignorance, I was doing all types of activities. I surrender my life to you now, right? So that is Sharanagati, beginning. And then you engage only in his direct devotional service 24/7. That is, in the very beginning, you do Sharanagati. Gyanis, after doing all these Jnana sadhanas and everything, realizing Brahman, now for them to actually go into Brahman, they have to surrender to Krishna at that point. They have to surrender. And by that bhakti, by that surrender, they will go and merge into Brahman. You may say, if he is doing bhakti, then why he can't go to Golok Vrindavan Dham? Why he is going and merging into Brahman? Because his bhakti is not very tivra. It is not very intense. His bhakti is very, very little. Like the light coming from a glowworm. The light coming from a glowworm is so insignificant, it cannot light up the room. But the light coming from the sun can light up all three planets, planetary systems. So the bhakti done by devotees is like the light of the sun that can actually reveal the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. But the bhakti done by the Jnanis is like the light of a glowworm. So that can only reveal to them the Brahman aspect of the Supreme Lord. Nevertheless, unless they do bhakti, they cannot get that. And the Paramatma yogis who are aspiring for Paramatma, their bhakti is little more than Jnanis, but still less than bhaktas. So they get little bit more, right? More than Brahman. Because now they see the form of the Lord, they see as him as the controller, Paramatma realization. They'll get that destination. I will stop here. We are past time, and just once quickly, I'll just go to this verse one more time. So what is Devaki saying? O great personality Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego, right? It is only because of this avidya that one is accepting this material body and that ahankara, that I am this body, right? Why? Because of ignorance. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life lacking self-realization differentiate in terms of this is mine, this belongs to another, right? Because one more thing, as we go on further in this 15th chapter, Krishna says further how that you go from one body to another body, and after you go to a new body, there Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains it's like changing houses, right? You change your house, apartment. Now you're staying in one apartment, you have lease for 1 year. After 1 year, you have to vacate, you go to another apartment, like that. Or you don't like this, you want a bigger place, smaller place, whatever. Just like jumping from one branch to another branch, this living entity is changing from one body to another body. But when he goes to another body, what is he doing? Just like when I vacate this apartment and go to another place, I have to pack all my stuff, isn't it? Right? I have to take everything, my cooking stuff, my altar, my deities, my suitcases, my clothes, my books and everything I have to pack, and then I have to go to the new place. And after I go to the new place, again I have to organize everything. Here's my altar and here's my kitchen and here's all these things I have to do. And then again there, for a specified time I will stay, and after I stay, the lease is over. Now I have to leave this place, find another apartment, again pack up everything and then move there. And then when you go there, again you set up. Similarly, this living entity, when it is time to leave this body, gross body, it takes with it its mind, its intelligence, its ego, its senses, it takes everything, pack up. And then it goes to a new body. And when it goes into a new body, once again arranging. Arranging means what? Let's say now I'm in a human body, and when I go to an animal's body, a pig's body, if I go, now the pig's intelligence and human's intelligence is not the same, it's different, right? And of course the pig also has intelligence, it also has mind, it has, affection and all that, but it's on a different level, it's a different level. And also the food that I eat, the food that the pig eats, it's different, isn't it? But the living entity, when it goes into a new body, it adjusts to that. If you go from a 2 bedroom apartment to a 1 bedroom apartment, then it becomes smaller. You have to adjust. Now you reduce your stuff, right? Because now I have less space, so I use less things. You make adjustments. And then if you go to a bigger house from a small apartment, what do? You get more things because there's more space, more furniture, and you just spread out like that. So the living entity also, when it goes from one body to another body, then according to the body it adjusts. But what is it carrying? It's carrying all its stuff: mind, intelligence, ego, samskaras, impressions, everything. It's packing up, it's taking, and it's going from one body to another body. And this goes on and on until we get the association, the mercy of a devotee. So, so that's why he thinks this is mine and this is others, right? When you are in that body, according to that body, if I'm a pig and this is my piglets, or this is my area, or dog also, right? Mine and others, all according to that body, whichever body you are in. Now in this body, this is my address, this is my home, this is my family, and that is not mine, like that. Everything is done automatically by the laws of nature, which work under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no question of doing anything independently, for one who has put himself in this material atmosphere is fully under the control of nature's laws. Our main business, therefore, should be to get out of this conditioned life and again become situated in spiritual existence. Only due to ignorance does a person think, I am a demigod, I am a human being, I am a dog, I am a cat, or when the ignorance is still further advanced, I am God. Unless one is fully self realized, one's life of ignorance will continue. Inertia of motion, it will continue. So I will stop there today. Thank you all so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. I didn't read Leelamrita today because we are already over time. Tomorrow. Thank you.